There are things that are unexplained, things that linger along the edges of reality. Often, they leave trails to follow, many of which lead to darkened rooms and stairways that can take you, if you dare, only to one place: the Basement Files.
Welcome, Basement Dwellers. This is Jenna Valadez. You're listening to the Basement Files, and I have a couple of special guests. My friends, Mr. James Oldboy Ash and Mr. James Hershey, horror author. Welcome back, guys. It's so good to have you back on the show.
Hey, guys.
So now you guys are Xers, you're para-Xers as well. I'm so happy that you guys are with the family. How are you guys liking it?
It's pretty cool. A lot more people are listening. I really enjoy it. I mean, we've got a lot of good feedback on it, so yeah, it's been pretty cool. How about you, James?
I like ParaX. It's a cool network because, for the most part, it's paranormal programming, and that's kind of cool. Because on a lot of stations, you will have the one show that is the paranormal show, and it's kind of the oddball out of the group. And then you have all these normal shows. And everybody that listens to the station normally looks at you like you're some kind of weirdo. Because here you are talking about Bigfoot or aliens or ghosts or demons. And everybody else is talking about Trump or Clinton or playing, top 40 hits or something. So it's nice to be with like-minded people, with other weirdos.
Yes. I embrace my weirdo-ness. The shows that you do, I was talking to you about the ones that you just did about hell and about the near-death experiences. And James, when you do the research and you have a ton load that you searched for your shows, not only for your podcast, but for the podcast that you run on YouTube, when you find the evidence or the research and you delve further and further in, how do you know what direction you're going? I mean, how do you know if it's fake, or how do you know if you're getting the authenticity of what you're reading?
You have to research. You research the research, okay? So when you start researching something, and I do so much research, not just each week for the show, but my whole life. Because I'm a weird person because I have to know every single thing that there is to know about a subject. If I'm interested in something and I have a question, then I will start there. We did a show on demons one time, and somebody asked me, what are demons and where do they come from? And it kind of stopped me in my tracks because I thought, hell, I don't know. I mean, everybody knows what demons are from the Bible, but what really are demons?
Right.
And where do they really come from?
Mm-hmm.
So I start with a question that I have, and I'll start researching it. And that question will lead to 4 or 5 other questions. So then I research those questions. And then they lead to 4 or 5 other questions, and I research those. And that's kind of the way it goes. As far as knowing where I'm going with it, I just follow the research, wherever it leads me. I don't go into any research with any preconceived answers or notions. I let the research take me where it takes me. Right. Now, along the way, you find a lot of dead ends. You find a lot of stories that turn out not to be true. But then you also find stories that you think aren't true, but they have a nugget of truth to them. A great example of that is the show we did on Slender Man. Mm-hmm. Now, I went into Slender Man thinking this is just a silly creepypasta story. Mm-hmm. It's just a totally fake, made-up thing. But come to find out, the Slender Man legend goes all the way back to the 1500s over in Europe. There's stories in the lore of children getting captured in the forest and taken away by Slender Man. Now, they don't call him Slender Man. They called him something else. He has a couple different names and a couple different areas' lores. But it's the exact same description. It looks exactly like Slender Man. And it's interesting because throughout the ages, when you have this creature appearing, it's always dressed formally. Back in the medieval times, it was dressed up in all the fancy duds of that time. Now, you have him wearing a black suit.
Right.
Right. But he's always wearing formal attire throughout the lore, which is, I don't know if that's really important or not as far as the actual tale of Slender Man, but it's one of those little nuggets that's so interesting that if you haven't spent 15, 20 hours researching this, you would never find that. And I also have access because of my career, and who I am. I have access to a lot of information and libraries and books that the average ordinary person just would never get to look at.
Right.
Most people never look at books anymore anyway. They just get on Wikipedia or they do a Google search, and whatever they find, they find. Now, those are useful tools sometimes, but it's dangerous to only look online because you're going to miss stuff that's never been put online. I love dusty old books. I love dusty old libraries. I love actually looking this stuff up and finding it. And like I said, it's been a lifelong passion of mine since I was a little child. I started out with Greek mythology. That fascinated me. The stories of the Minotaurs and Hercules and all the different things. And I was so fascinated by that, and that's where I started. And then Bigfoot and Nessie, and it just steamrolled. So I've researched monsters, I've researched cryptozoological creatures, demons, ghosts, aliens, everything you can imagine I've done research on, because I don't just do it week by week for the show. A lot of times when we do a show, I don't even have to research the show because I've already done the research a decade or so earlier.
Right.
So I have this encyclopedia of knowledge in my brain that I'm able to draw upon.
So let me ask you this, because I recently had a guest on and she was fascinating. She kind of opened and awakened my senses to what's really out there in this galaxy. So, being that you do all this research, and I know that you and I touched base on it the last time you were on the show about UFOs and aliens, and you said you had information on it, and I said, you better tell me. You never told me. But what's funny is, and very recently this has been going on, I've had so many people come up to me and tell me their stories. They tell me their experiences. And they tell me another strange thing, which I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with. They tell me that the military is involved as far as brain manipulation, psychic abilities, taking people for their psychic ability, and that they know all about it. So I'd like to ask you, what are your feelings on it?
Our government absolutely knows aliens exist, and they have been in contact with them for longer than I've been alive. It started back in the early 40s. Okay, they've been meeting with aliens for a long, long time. I'm not going to get into exact specifics because I like breathing, but not only does our government use people with psychic abilities,
right?
They actually use people with psychic abilities to spy on other countries. It's a brilliant program.
This is true.
They did it a whole lot against the Russians, to where they would bring in these psychics, and they would have the psychics picture people that they had pictures of and knew who they were and everything, and knew where the general location where they were going to be.
Right.
And they would have them use their abilities to actually eavesdrop on the people and to gather intelligence that way. They did a lot of that during World War II. They did a lot of it afterwards during the Cold War. So there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on that not only nobody knows about, but they wouldn't even believe if they knew about it.
Right.
It's not just psychic abilities. It's not just aliens. There's weather manipulation. There's actual genetic manipulation going on in some of the vaccines and in fluoride and stuff like that. There's so much that's going on that nobody knows of. And the funny thing is, whenever anybody tries to talk about it, they just say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist."
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, you're this raving lunatic
yes.
that bathroom in your pants and runs in circles whistling, and nobody takes you seriously.
This is true. Yes.
And if you actually know what you're talking about, if you've actually been involved in any of this stuff personally,
right?
Okay, if you've worked in the government or worked for the government doing some of this stuff, you have to sign confidentiality agreements.
Yeah.
Which basically you're not allowed to talk about this stuff because if you do, then the government will take action against you. Now, on paper, that means that you can be fined and you can be put in prison. In reality, that means you have a heart attack while driving one day, or a lot of other very, very bad things will happen.
Right.
So that's why you don't have a lot of people that actually have the information coming out and talking about the information, because they like to breathe. And I'm one of those people that really enjoy breathing in and out.
I agree. But don't you think if it costs you, what why would they hide it? Are they so afraid? Are they afraid that the world can't handle it? Or are they afraid that the stories I heard are too fantastic, that they're too fantastic not to believe? I've experienced things when I was younger. If people want to argue and tell you you're crazy because you've experienced something, it just doesn't hold water. It doesn't make sense. Why are they hiding? What are they hiding it for?
If you knew who actually runs the world, then the public would go out of their mind.
I think I know who does.
Everything you think you know is wrong.
Yeah.
Our country is not run by our president and Congress. That's not the way it works. That's the way everybody thinks it works.
Yeah, no.
That's not who runs everything. You're seeing that now. Look at the guy who's in office now. Look at Trump, okay? Now, whether you like Trump or don't like Trump, I don't care. This isn't a political thing. But the entire government has turned against the man.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what he does, they're going to try to get rid of him because he's not one of them. That shows you right there the president doesn't run anything.
What's funny is
Republicans and Democrats are both trying to get rid of him because he's not one of them.
Right.
So that means there's no real difference between Republicans and Democrats. They just want everybody to argue with each other so that they're not paying attention to what's actually going on.
Right.
That's the real thing. When people learn that it's not Republican versus Democrat, when they learn that it is progressive or globalist versus nationalist, then it totally flips the whole thing on its lid. That's why they always hide everything, because if you knew what was really going on, the people would not stand for it. If you knew that the world is actually run by Satanists and pedophiles, there would be an uprising. But the thing is, they have the media on their side, so no matter what happens, if anybody tries to stand up and say anything, the media shouts them down like they're crazy and they're stupid and they're making up lies and all this kind of stuff. It's all fixed, man. It's all fixed. So that's why it's better just to not even get involved.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna, and that's a terrible thing to say. Honestly, it's a defeatist attitude, but you're not gonna win. There's no way. A normal person shouting into the wilderness is not gonna make any difference.
No. I agree.
Every time somebody stands up, they get shot down. That's just the way it works.
Yeah. And what's funny is I had a friend, or I still have a friend, he's remarkable to speak with because he's such, like you, he delves into interesting topics that people don't really want to know the truth about. And he was telling me one day that everything is run by, there's a whole other world under the Vatican, and the Pope's not even a Pope, and he was telling me all this red society or some kind of crap that's running everything, and that it's being hidden. And I was like, this dude's like, it's too fantastic not to be true. He may have sounded like he was way out there, but there's still a touch of reality in what he was telling me, and that's the scary part.
Yeah, see, what we do on Staring Into the Abyss is we deal with like Bigfoot and werewolves and vampires and all these kind of things, right? Those are the answers that I'm trying to find. Those are the things that I'm trying to prove. All this other stuff that's going on, I steer clear of it on my show because it's like beating a dead horse. You know what I mean? And nothing bad against what you're doing here. That's not what I'm saying. But
right.
What I'm saying is, it's anytime you talk about these kind of subjects, then you have all the people come out of the woodwork.
Right.
With all their crazy theories. And the problem is, most people, the majority of people have no idea. They don't know what they're talking about. They've never worked in it. They don't know anything about it. So they're just saying what they heard somebody else say. And it gets crazier and crazier and crazier. And there's no need to try to come out with outlandish theories because the actual truth of what's going on is outlandish in itself.
That's interesting. And it's funny because you were talking about demons earlier. And this is why I want to segue into your, old boy, your background in witchcraft and the dark arts that you actually were involved with. I want to hear a little bit more about where it stemmed from and how you began that part of your life. And we'll be back. You're listening to the Basement Files right here on ParaX Radio. Welcome back to the Basement Files. You're listening to Staring into the Abyss. Hosts James Oldboy Ash and James Hershey. So when we left last, I asked your darker side, old boy, about the coven that you were involved with in the darker side. How did that come about from the beginning, and what did it teach you, if anything?
This is going to be a hard one. It's going to take a little bit, but I'll talk a little bit if you've got some time.
Absolutely.
I did a show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to redo it though because maybe we'll do it on Parax so we can edit it and stuff. I did a show about that. It all started probably. I've always been a tree. I've always been into it. It's not that I just woke up one day and go, hey, I like being a witch or into that. It's always something's been there. It's something that's, I don't know. My mom was adopted, so I don't know my family, but I have a feeling somebody was into this before, in another time, or when I was younger. I don't know. I just always been like really into this stuff. I don't know what happened, or I just something had told me that I'm supposed to be involved in this. Well, I had a friend that was into this stuff, and he started getting me into it. And he was into vampirism, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So we started to show me some things, and I decided I'm not into the vampire thing. That's a little too much for me. But each their own. Whatever you want to believe in, don't take it offense. But I just started getting into Wicca, and I got into paganism, and I started getting my own group. So I started getting a group of people into it. But sometimes when you're not supposed to do certain things, it can turn you bad. And once you start doing bad things, it starts becoming like power. Power is very addictive, and it started turning me bad. I mean, if anybody would talk to me about God, especially God, I hate it. It would just I don't even want to hear it. It just, something would come into my body, and I just hated it. And I remember there was this guy that used to come to I used to work at a bank, and he would come and preach to me all the time. And I remember that. It used to irritate me, but he was still cool. I respected him, but whatever. He was never disrespectful about it, so that's why I don't have a problem with all Christians. Not all Christians are bad people, just like not all pagans are, not all anybody's religion. There's good and bad in everything. But it used to irritate me. But I used to get into it to the point where, when you were talking about earlier how your friend said demons are getting put in your head, no. Now there may be the government doing that to make people do crazy things to a point, but I don't think they made them. Demons have always been around before we even were made. So, I mean, the demons are real. I've seen them. I deal with one right now, and I don't even want to get into that. That would take a whole show.
That's not fair. That's not fair, old boy. We want to know if you're able to talk about it.
I'll give you this. There is, and I know people are going to think I'm insane, that you always have the non-sayers that sit in their rooms or sit in their basements and, oh, you're lying, you're crazy.
I'm in a basement, leave me alone.
Yeah, not you. I fight a demon every day. And that's something James doesn't even know, that I'm going to probably do on the next time I get to do an actual full interview about this again, and I'm going to actually really do it. I fight demons every day. I will never, when you deal with what I dealt with, you never get over it. It doesn't. They don't just leave you alone. Yeah, you can believe in God, whatever, but they just because you're Christian doesn't mean the devil's not going to attack you. He's still going to attack you. It doesn't matter what you do, but some things, there's always going to be something dark in it, and it still is. And sometimes it's very hard to fight it. It's hard to explain to people. I do have something on me. I've had psychics tell me. My fiance's told me. There's something there. It's been there since I was a kid, probably. I've seen things and always been attuned. I used to see my body when I go to sleep, and I would see people who die. They come visit me, or they would attack me. But for some reason, I could fight them off. It's just been weird. It's hard. It's a battle, because sometimes I have to fight going back to that. Because if I go back to that, it probably will consume me. Because people don't get it. When you mess with any of that, it takes your body over. It takes everything over. It takes your mind. You just don't. You're not the same person anymore. You don't care about anybody other than yourself. And it's hard to fight that. And you even hurt the people you love. And I still do it. I say things, I do things. Sometimes I don't really mean, but it just there's something else there, if you understand what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can understand that. How I'm saying is that I'm not like immortal. I'm like, I'm a demon or something. I have one in me that bites me all the time. But see, this particular demon's an archdemon. It isn't just a regular demon. It's something that's higher up in hell, and it's hard to explain because, like I said, I don't want people to think I'm out of my mind, and they can think whatever they want, but I deal with it. Demons are real. You can say whatever you want. They're real. They're real as you can ever imagine. You couldn't fathom what's real in this world. That's what people don't realize. What really runs this world, it isn't just pedophiles and devil worshippers. It's demons, it's aliens. There's stuff you wouldn't even have fathomed that exists. And if you did, your mind couldn't handle it. You couldn't handle the truth. And I know people, I don't care what anybody thinks, honestly. I know what I know. I see what I see. Every day, when James says he dreams his books, it's like living in hell. He sees demons all the time. I see them awake. There's a difference. They don't ever go away.
So, what is it that you did different? I mean did you not get exercised, or did you not have it pulled from your body?
There's no way of doing it. I've already tried. Not all that stuff works. People got to realize that.
So
that people watch TV and they think the exorcist is going to come and get that demon out. That doesn't always happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's some demons that are more stronger than just saying the word of God and getting them out of you.
So is it okay? So I know about demons and their hierarchy, just like with God and his angels. There's soldiers, and then there's minions. What is in you? You said it was an archer?
Archdemon. It's one of the first angels. That's what they used to be, was archangels. Remember, God, the devil is not no demon. People got to realize he was an angel. He just was a fallen angel, and they became he's no demon. Well, let's get that straight. The devil is no demon. He's the god of hell. I mean, he's got a lot of power. He's one of the first angels ever made in the first place. And there's different. Yeah, there is a hierarchy, and one of them kings in hell. Yes.
That's interesting.
And I don't want to talk about who it is. I don't want to get into it. But like I said, because I don't want to end up dead.
That's interesting.
Or I don't want somebody hurt over what I believe and what's in me.
How do you control it not manifesting daily if it's part of you? How do you stop the manifestation?
There's no controlling it. It does what it wants.
So in an instant, it could come out and hurt and damage something right now?
It could do it, but it's not going to do it because it's not like a regular demon. It's higher. It doesn't have to. It already has done whatever it wants. I mean, if you mess with me, yes, I'll tell you this right now. I'm going to tell you a story.
Okay.
We're doing a reading with a psychic.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there, but somebody I know was, and 2 or 3 other people. Well, while they were talking, the other 3 people heard somebody screaming, yelling at their lung. It was him. Well, this person wasn't supposed to be talking about certain things. They didn't. The whole time they kept getting kicked off the They think they were doing Facebook, and they all 4 got kicked off. They all 3 heard the same thing, but the person close to me who was doing it, they heard a yelling voice, a loud voice, thundering voice. That's who it is. And when I did it, they didn't hear it, and they only heard it with my side. I didn't hear it, but I knew something's there.
Right.
If you do something to me that you see, something else will bad happen to you. And it's not that I do it for purpose, but it happens. It's weird. I haven't had a bruise in like 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been sick in 2 or 3 years. It's really weird. I've never had a broken bone in my life. I've been in hundreds of cars. I've been in 2 or 3 head-on collisions. My head hitting steering wheel at 70 miles an hour did nothing to me.
Wow. So do you think it's a guardian for you?
Yeah, I have both of them. I have one. Each person has one on each side, angel and a guardian. But yeah, it does.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it's probably tripping Hershey out because he finally got to hear something I haven't said yet. That the next time I can do this interview, he'll get to hear what he wants to hear. So sorry, I didn't mean to take too much time. Sorry if I did.
No, that's fine. I mean, James, do you? After hearing what you just heard by Old Boy and all your research on demonology, what are your thoughts?
It doesn't honestly surprise me because I know some of the things that Old Boy used to be into, and you can't mess around with demons and with the other side and not pay a price. That's something that a lot of people, they just don't realize. They think it's all fun and games. And I think the reason for that is all of these fake ghost shows that are on TV. Everybody wants to get a spirit box and get EVPs, and everybody wants to get on the Ouija board and contact the dead. What they don't realize is the majority of the time when you're playing with a Ouija board, you're talking to demons. That is a doorway that you are opening up, and you are allowing evil in. You're inviting it to attack you, basically. And if you don't know what you're doing, then you shouldn't be messing around with Ouija boards or with EVPs or any of that stuff. I would say personally, I don't think anybody should play with Ouija boards. I think it's insane because you're opening yourself up. Just the very act of it, you're inviting demons and any other thing that wants to hurt you out there that's on the other side. You're inviting it all over and saying, "Hey, here I am. My body is your playground." And I think it's nuts.
Right.
I just don't understand it. I know some of the things Old Boy was involved with in his past, and I know that when you play with demons and you play with the other side, you're in for a lifetime of pain. You're in for a fight. And see, like if you watch Supernatural or some shows like that, then you would think that, you just draw a thing on the ground and you say some words in Latin and you sprinkle a little bit of water and poof, he goes away. It's not the way it works. Even exorcisms that actually work go on for days, weeks sometimes. I mean, in a lot of cases, it's multiple exorcisms over month after month after month, just to get the demon to go away temporarily, and it'll come back. It's very hard to actually get rid of these things. So once you have a demon that attaches, and I apologize to anybody who's sensitive out there, but you're kind of screwed at that point. You're just going to have to deal with it. And the problem is so many people get into the paranormal field now because they've seen a TV show and they think it's cool. And they have no idea that there really are things that go bump in the night. There are things out there that want to hurt you, not just physically, but spiritually.
Right.
They want to destroy you. They want to destroy your family. They want to destroy your entire life. And the problem is that they're immortal. And they're almost all powerful. A lot stronger than you at least. So you don't have a whole lot of chance to win this fight. The average person doesn't. With a little bit of knowledge, or a lot of bit of knowledge, you can hold it at bay for a while. But you can never really get rid of it if it wants to be there. That's the problem. There is no magical thing you say and poof, it goes away and you're done forever. It doesn't exist. It's not real. That's fiction. That's Hollywood. That's not real life. I mean, they have made the occult and the paranormal into this commercialized industry. I mean, they made a Ouija board game, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
You know, I think Parker Brothers did, didn't they? Somebody like that. They made a game that they sold in Walmart and all over the world, and all these kids bought this thing and they're playing around with it. So basically, what you have is you have children all over the country and probably the world that are playing around with something they believe to be a game, but what they're actually doing is opening portals to the spirit world and allowing horrifying things into this world and into their own lives. I think it's very irresponsible to make a game like that.
Right.
As far as what Old Boy believes and what you believe, I mean, as far as Wicca goes and all that kind of stuff, you guys know, but I don't know if all of your audience knows, I am a Christian. I am a very strong Christian. But I don't judge you and I don't judge Old Boy for your beliefs, man. I love you guys. I don't care what you believe. I feel bad for Old Boy, honestly. I feel sorry for him in a way because of the things he's done and the forces that he messed with. And I think a little bit with Old Boy, it's a little bit more than that. It's a little bit also, he's kind of born into it. You know, there's stuff that's been with him since he was a child that wasn't because he was playing with a Ouija board or something. You know, there's something more to that story. But I feel sorry for him because he has to do battle with these things for the rest of his life. And it's not like a normal battle where you can put up your dukes and whoop its ass. You know, this is a spiritual battle. This is a whole nother concept.
Right.
And unless you have a lot of knowledge and a lot of faith and a lot of will, you're going to come out on the bad end of that most times.
So what do you think about people like yourself and like I do? I want to find out the truth also of the paranormal side, like the cryptozoology or time slips or UFOs or demons and ghosts. When we do the research and when we're writing, I don't know if you've ever used, well, of course you have to when you write a book. And the books that I have that I am going off of are books like the Necronomicon, because some of them does spells. Now, I'm not saying I do the Necronomicon spells. I kind of take what I know and I twist it around to where people can't really do it because they would summon something. But I want to make my books, when I'm writing, as authentic as it can be. And I have to deal with spells and spellcrafts and Necronomicons and conjuring spirits, or that basic research that I do when I write a book is what the reason why I have books. Now, I've heard that some people believe the books of that particular genre, like the Necronomicon, is another gateway as well as tarot cards or, you know, Ouija boards, like you mentioned. When you have books like that in your home, what do you think about people like us who have to do the research? You have that knowledge in your head. Does that make you a part of it? Does that make you a vessel for something bad to happen in your life?
Not necessarily. I know that sounds like a wishy-washy answer, but I'll explain. In order to invite these things in, you have to be an active participant.
Right.
Okay? What I mean by that is with a Ouija board, you are calling on the spirits to come to you, to answer your questions, to manipulate the board to form answers. So you are inviting them in. So there has to be some act on your part of inviting or welcoming these things to you. If we're talking, you know, spirits and demons and stuff like that. Now, as far as the creatures go, if you are a Bigfoot researcher, then your research is not only going to be reading books and stuff like that, but you are going to be out in the field where you are actively searching for Bigfoot.
Right.
Now, I don't believe that searching for a creature like Bigfoot or Nessie or shapeshifters or werewolves or vampires or any of those things, I don't believe that searching for them will bring them to you. Because if that was the case, then, man, we would have great evidence of all these things.
Of course.
But you shouldn't be surprised if you go out looking for a werewolf. You shouldn't be surprised if one rips your face off. Because you are out there looking for it. So you're actively trying to find it, and most times you're not going to find it, but if you happen to be in an area where whatever creature you're looking for is, and that creature actually exists, then there's a potential that something might happen to you.
Right.
You know, I've done not only book research, I've done a lot of field research as well. I've actually been out looking for Bigfoot. I've dealt with shifters and stuff like that in real life, in person.
Right.
So, and a lot of that comes from my Native American background and growing up that way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that exist that most people don't believe exist.
Right.
And a lot of it is dangerous. I believe that demons absolutely exist, and I answered the questions of what they are and where do they come from.
Right.
You know? So I did extensive research on demons, but I belong to God. You know, I'm a child of God. I'm a Christian. My soul belongs to God and to Jesus Christ. It doesn't belong to demons just because I've researched the demons. Now, if I actively call the demons to myself and I try to barter some kind of deal with them for power or for whatever, then yeah, I'm kind of selling myself down the river.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe that just the act of researching something
Mm-hmm.
means you're selling yourself to that thing.
Mm-hmm.
There has, like I was saying, there has to be an action on your part of inviting the demon to you. You know, just researching is not inviting it, but calling it to you, doing some kind of spellcraft in order to summon the demon to you, trying to make a deal with a demon, that's a whole nother ball of wax. You know, that's a whole nother thing than just researching the stuff.
I heard that it works for a second and then your servitude for their needs, and they lie. If you knowingly know that you're going to go into a contract where they're going to lie to you, why do it?
Because people are greedy and they're hungry for power. People, at the root of it, people are nothing but scared animals running around this world. They're afraid. And what they're afraid of is eternity. Because there's one universal truth that nobody can deny.
Mm-hmm.
And that's every single one of us, 100% of us, are going to die.
Right.
None of us can get by without dying. We're all going to die.
Right.
And that scares the hell out of people because they don't know what's coming next.
Right.
That idea of death, what makes that scary is not the actual act of dying, it's what happens afterward, because nobody really knows. You know, there have been people that have died. I'm one of them, and come back.
Mm-hmm.
And they can tell you what's over there. But most people don't believe you.
Right.
Nobody really knows until they experience it what is actually there. And that's what scares people. So you have people that don't believe in God. They don't believe in heaven. They don't believe in an afterlife.
Mm.
So to them, the only life that there is, the only existence they're going to have is here on earth. So they want power. They want money. They want fame. They want women. They want all of the great things now, here on earth.
Right.
And they're willing to make a deal and to sell something that they don't believe even exists, their soul, to get it. But the problem is, like you said, demons are liars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'll say right now for the audience, for everybody listening out there is absolutely no such thing as a good demon. Does not exist. Every single one of them are evil SOBs, and they will lie to you and they will destroy you. Now, I get a lot of these people that are involved in Satanism and witchcraft and all this kind of stuff that will tell me, oh, no, not all demons are bad. You can make deals with demons. They'll help you. They'll do this, they'll do that. That's hogwash. It's all nonsense. Yes, they might do things for you, but you're paying out the nose for it.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going to burn in hell.
Yeah.
It's what's going to happen to you eventually. And until then, believe me, it's only good for a little while. And then it gets bad. It's like a bad marriage. In the very beginning, it's wonderful. And then the mask comes on.
All right.
And then you get to see what this creature that you've wedded yourself to actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And it ain't pretty. You know, it always goes downhill. There is absolutely no such thing as a good demon.
So when people say in jest, I would sell my soul today if I could have like $1 million or if I won the lottery, is that an offer that's being heard by a demon?
I think it depends on your heart.
Ah.
It depends on your intentions.
Mm.
If you believe that when you say it,
Right.
there's great power in faith. Jesus said if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can tell the mountain to move from here to there and it'll listen to you. There's a great deal of power in faith. Faith is what allowed the disciples to walk on water with Jesus, remember? So there's a ton of power in faith.
Right.
If you're putting your faith into that request,
Mm-hmm.
then yes, you can absolutely call a demon to you that way.
Wow.
They can hear that. They can come.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just saying it like, man, I'm hungry, I could eat a horse. Now, you're not actually going to eat a horse. But if you're stuck on an island and there's no food and you haven't eaten in 4 or 5 days and you're really hungry and there happens to be a horse there, then you say, I'm so hungry I can eat a horse. You might actually eat the horse. It all depends on your intentions. If you want that money or that fame or whatever it is bad enough,
Right.
and even though you're pretending to joke, you're saying it in a joking manner,
Mm-hmm.
but in your heart you really mean it, then yes, I think it's absolutely possible that it could cause something to you.
Wow. That's so fascinating. Because I don't know how many times I'd said that before, and I really wanted to believe that I really wanted that the fame, and I really wanted to make something of myself because I don't have children, and I thought maybe really wanted that passionately. It was like it's like crickets. Nobody heard anything, and nothing happened. But I don't know if that was a blessing in disguise, or I don't know how.
Oh, it absolutely was. Fame is one of those things that falls into the category of be careful what you ask for because you just might get it.
Right.
Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be a rock star. Everybody wants to be a famous actor, whatever it is.
Right.
Everybody wants to be known. But the reality of fame is a whole lot different than the fantasy of fame.
This is true. This is true.
Through my novels and what I do for a living, I have gained a level of fame myself.
Right.
It's not all it's cracked up to be. It kind of sucks, actually. The money is nice. Don't get me wrong. Money is great. I've made a ton of money. And I have given away a ton of money.
Right.
You can ask Old Boy. I'm always involved with doing stuff for the troops, doing stuff for the homeless, helping out with hurricane relief, all these things. I've given away fortunes.
Right.
And that's one thing that the fame has brought me is the financial means to make a positive difference in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important. And I don't think it's important for my salvation because you're not saved by works, you're saved by faith in Christ. But I believe that for my own peace of mind and my own heart, I'm a guy that I've been poor.
Mm-hmm.
I've been so poor that I had to hunt to eat. If I went out hunting and I didn't kill something, there was no dinner. I've been poor.
Right.
And now I'm on the other side of that spectrum. Now I'm doing very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to help those that need it, that are less fortunate. So that's one great thing that fame brings. But the downside of fame is your life is not your own anymore.
Yeah.
I can't just go to the movies with my wife and see a movie. I just can't do it. I can't just go out to a restaurant like a normal person and just sit down and eat. There's this funny story I told Boy one time. I was taking my daughter to Hot Topic because she got a report card. She did very, very well. Mm-hmm. So I promised her that if she did very, very well, I would buy her this dress that she wanted at Hot Topic. It's this blue dress that had black skulls all over it. She's like a little gothic. And so I promised, if you get A's, I'll make that happen for you. Brought home the report card, A's. So I'm a man of my word. I take her to Hot Topic to get the dress, right?
Uh-huh.
Now we're supposed to be back home for dinner. It's important that we're back home for dinner because my wife is cooking and we have to be back. So I figured we'll pop over to Hot Topic real quick. Now this is after I released I Am Legion,
Uh-huh.
and I was working on Call of the Wind Spirits. It's when my career started to really take off.
Right.
And at that time, I didn't think I was anybody yet. I thought I was just the same old redneck that always was. I didn't know that I had turned into somebody. So I go to the mall to go to Hot Topic to take my daughter to get the dress. And at first, everything's fine. We walk over, she finds the dress she wants, and she gets the lady at the counter to get it with the big hook. And so they get the big pole with the hook, and they get the dress down from I don't know why Hot Topic has everything on the ceiling. It makes no sense, but they do. And so they get the dress down, and somebody recognizes and hollers and comes over.
Nice.
And they want me to sign something for them, right?
Aw.
So I sign, for the kid, no problem. Well, just the act that I'm sitting there signing for somebody, other people start to move over and see who the hell I am. And then more people notice who I am. Next thing you know, I can't get out of Hot Topic. I'm stuck. Because there's a crowd that's formed in front of the door. Now I can't leave.
Uh-huh.
I'm supposed to be home for dinner. My wife's going to kick my ass. But I'm stuck in Hot Topic signing autographs. And then the people at Hot Topic wanted to take pictures with me and all this kind of stuff. It turned out being kind of cool because they put it on the Hot Topic website.
Nice.
And my daughter loves Hot Topic, and she got to be in the pictures, so she got to be on the Hot Topic website, and that gave her bragging rights with all of her friends.
Nice.
But that's the downside of it, is sometimes it gets to the point where you don't have a life like you used to have.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not complaining about it. Please don't misunderstand me, don't get me wrong. I love my readers, I love my fans a whole bunch, and I'm the guy that is more than happy to sign anything, to take pictures, all that kind of stuff. I never give anybody problems about that. I always do it. But the problem is when you go out to eat and it begins happening, and you know, you're nice and you take pictures and you sign, and eventually you get everybody that wants a picture or an autograph, and then they kind of, you know, leave you alone after a while, and then you can eat, but your food is already ice cold. You know, so like I said, not complaining, but I don't need the fame and recognition. That's not what I'm in it for. That's something that comes along with it. And be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. You know, everybody wants the money, and you think in your mind that it would be really cool if everybody knew who you were.
Yeah.
You know, if you went out places and people were really excited to see you, until it actually happens to you. You know, I'm a guy that I live up in the mountains, man. I'm literally a mountain man. That's what I am.
Yeah.
I hunt, I fish, I grow my own food. You know, I'm a guy that you can put anywhere on this planet with just a knife and a canteen, and I can survive as long as I want to.
Yeah.
I am a mountain man.
Mhm.
And when you take somebody like me who's almost a wild animal myself in a lot of respects, and you put me into a situation like that where I'm in a city and I'm doing an event or I'm doing a book signing and I've got all these people coming up and talking to me, I'm not a very trying to think of how to put this. I'm not a guy that is used to being in those kind of situations. I'm used to being out in the woods.
Right.
You know, I've been face to face with a bear 3 times in my life, so close I can smell its breath. That's my backyard. That's what I'm used to. I'm not used to being in social situations with thousands of people. So it's kind of strange sometimes.
Yeah, but you've used I wouldn't say fought for. You've used what you've created as for something good by helping the troops with financial stuff and by not shooing the people that are your readers away. You know, that's a good thing that you embrace it. And I hope you continue to do that. And I'll expect my signed copy books in a couple of weeks from you for Christmas.
Give me your address, darling, and you'll have it.
But I do want to thank you guys for being on the show. I could go on forever and talk to you guys, because every time I talk to you, it's always something eye-opening and awakening. And this is the reason why I do the show, because and I think my listeners do the same thing. They listen in because you guys have been phenomenal. You've had a phenomenal start, and you guys are going in the great direction. If you're the only ones from Para X on that other Straight Talk podcast, that's fantastic. I'm proud of you guys. I really am.
Jenna's like, I love you, but you're costing me sponsor dollars, man. Get out of here.
I wish. If it was the case, no. I do this out of a passion and out of respect for remembrance of my friends. So, and I love you guys. You guys are a piece of my heart, and I'm very proud of you guys. And continued success to both of you. On a personal level, congratulations on your engagement, James, old boy. And
thank you very much.
You're absolutely welcome. I want to have you guys back on. And James, when you're writing another book, maybe you've got a space for a Texas girl in there somewhere, huh?
I'm actually writing one right now. I'm on my 5th novel right now. I'm about a little bit more than halfway through it.
Nice. Can't wait. I thank you so much. I hope everybody has a great weekend and stay safe. And thank you for tuning in and hanging out with me and staring into the abyss team, James Old Boy Ash and Mr. Horror Author James Hershey. Thank you so much for joining in, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna.
As always, in the memory of Tracy Frost, we'll see you on the other side. Take care. Have a good weekend, everybody. Good night. Thank you for listening to The Basement Files. Royalty-free music is by Kevin MacLeod and Ben Sound.